Okay.
Trauma. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
We're live.
Wow. Okay.
It's really weird because it's like backwards.
Oh yeah.
But we're here.
Okay.
We're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Is that like weird?
That's great.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, Amanda. I gotta put glue in my hair.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
It's a whole party today.
It is a whole party today.
No.
No, I just gotta go wash my hands real quick.
We'll move.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. Everybody, hi. This is really weird because it's like swapped and backwards, like on the camera.
Yeah.
But welcome to the live stream ThNOT, as we're calling it, Thursday Night on Tour. ThNOT. We're gonna talk all things about being a swing tonight. So while I go wash my hands from getting this glue out of my hair from this, these two are gonna introduce themselves. Go for it.
Wow. Hi. This way. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're both swings.
We're both swings.
Yeah. And we both have done Les Mis for quite some time.
Yeah, we've both been doing Les Mis a long time.
Yes.
That's right. There we go. Swing Nation, indeed. So give me the definition of what you think a swing is. Kyle, go.
A swing is someone who is not inherently in the show every night, who is available to go on for an ensemble track.
Okay.
So whereas an understudy someone would understudy Jean Valjean, when an ensemble person gets sick or when an ensemble person is on for their understudy, who does their ensemble track? And that's what a swing is.
I like to say we're the understudy for the understudies.
Mhm.
We're the
Cool.
understudy for the ensemble.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think is one of the hardest parts about being a swing?
Go ahead.
Ooh. One of the hardest parts about being a swing? On just like a personal level, it's probably that, like, even though it is nice sometimes to not have to do the show 8 shows a week, I've done 8 shows a week and I've been a swing now. You miss out on a lot of like the inside jokes that happen with the company. And like something will happen on stage and like continues to happen on stage and they'll talk about it like the bar or something later and you're like, what?
What happened?
Who is what? And or someone will come off stage and everyone's laughing and they'll be like, you had to have been there, you don't get it. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll go back to watch Netflix. But like, and so sometimes it can be a little bit, it can build up to be like, oh, I have a little bit of FOMO when like those kinds of like things happen. That's definitely not the hardest part, but that's one of those like little things that I think people don't think about. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Michael. We have a full room. We're doing another live. Great. Okay, so then my next question is, Kyle is also the dance captain on our show. And so what are your responsibilities for being a dance captain?
I think that my main responsibility as dance captain is to maintain the choreography, or in our case, it's more called musical staging, but there is some actual choreography. Anything that falls under our musical staging sort of subject, it's my responsibility to maintain it, to make sure that the show looks the same as it did when we opened in Cleveland over a year ago, and then also to then teach new people those aspects of the show when we have replacements inevitably come out.
Yeah. And so my next question is, what somebody asked the question. So for all of us out there are things in our show called a split track. And a lot of people have questions about what that is. So can you explain what a split track is?
Yeah, so what happens is there are only so many swings, right? So we have 3 male identifying swings and 2 female identifying swings on Les Mis. So what happens when 4 male identifying ensemble members call out? Then we only have 3 swings to do 4 people's tracks, but we don't just cancel the show when that happens because everyone showed up and wants to see Les Mis.
Correct.
So we just have to make the show work, missing 4 people with only 3 people. So they call it a split track because you're doing multiple tracks at one time. So you might be singing someone's solo at the beginning of a scene, but then moving someone else's prop at the end of the scene. So you're splitting yourself between the tracks to make the show happen and to make it seem as seamless as if nobody's missing.
Yeah.
And this happened just last week.
Yeah.
This happened just last week.
this happens all the time, right? People get sick. We also, we have people out of the show because of vacation and personal days and all of those things. And so then when people get sick, when people are also out on vacation, it spreads us a little thin. And that's when we end up in split tracks.
The goal would be you would never know if we were in a split track. I feel like the only sneaky way that you would know if it was a really intense split, if you notice that like one person is singing a lot of solos, because like it has all those like little like feature tracks. If you notice that like one person is like the constable and is also somebody else, like there's a bunch of different, then you'd be like, huh. But other than that, there really would be no way to tell that we were in a split track.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable to watch both of you work, because what's crazy is I've only swung once in my career as a professional actor, and it was a lot and terrifying. But these two are very cool under pressure, and they're all about like problem solving. And so immediately they just go into if say that a lantern is left on stage, all of a sudden you'll just see like one of them just go over and pick it up and take it off stage, just like they're like, oh yeah, no, that just needs to not be here. Where a lot of our other fellow cast members are like, what do we do? What do we do? And they just go for it. So it's very cool. Somebody had a question. They're like, do you each have a favorite track as in your swings?
I have different favorite parts of people's tracks.
So like, what's one of your favorites?
Well, last time I was out on tour, my track was the Factory Girl. That was my permanent role. So I do still love playing her. There are little things like I love playing Madame Whore in the docks. Master of the I think those would probably be my two favorite like pieces of roles. Honestly, I love the nun.
The nun.
She's such it's such a pain in the butt too to do, but I know how beautiful it looks on stage.
Stunning. There's a moment in the hospital scene where a nun walks over and
And Haley and I have like a little bit that we do before that scene when I'm on. So those things are fun.
That's the other thing about, I think, being a swing that's cool is that like every time, again, people ask like, how do you do the same show every single night? Well, it's like when a swing is on, the show changes, right? And so we have this luxury of having little bits with all of these different people. Like Ashley and I have like little looks that every time that she's on, I know that there is something that's going to happen, and it gives me, I'm giddy because I'm like, yes, we get to have a fun time on stage today. And same with Kyle, like every time that Kyle's on, I know that there's going to be some ad libs in the back that I'm going to be like, So it's always very fun in those moments. Somebody asked also, do swings get paid more or about the same?
Yeah, so all of the minimums are set by the equity contract. I think anybody could look them up. But swings get paid more for being a swing. You also get paid more for understudying features in the ensemble. So like the bishop or the factory girl, those types of things that are a feature, considered a feature.
The factory girl.
Yeah,
both cover both of those.
Yeah, right. Those are extra features. So they get a small pay bump. So there's a pay bump for being the dance captain, and all of these things, like the minimum that you have to get paid if you're going to do this task is set by the union, which is nice because then you don't have to be fighting for extra money for doing this extra job.
Yeah, and we do get paid slightly more simply because we need to know all of the tracks and have to go on at any given moment for any of those tracks.
And sometimes they go on mid-show. It happens. People get sick. People get food poisoning. Somebody gets injured, and immediately we'll hear over the loudspeaker like Ashley Martin did the stage, or they'll be like, for the rest of the show, Ashley's going to be on, or Kyle's going to be on, and they're just seamless. They just kind of slip in, and it's very fast. Like everybody just knows exactly what they're doing, and
I've gotten very, very fast at wig prep. I think I could do my pin curls and get everything on in under like 90 seconds.
Wow, that's
pin curls
incredible.
and under stuff.
Because
maybe 2 minutes.
That's an added element that I never have to do.
My pin curls I can do in under 30 seconds.
Wow.
What has
45 seconds. I don't want him to do time.
We're gonna be like, what has been the craziest time to like get thrown on? Like, what has been your what you consider to be like, I got thrown on one time and it was insane?
For me, it was when I got thrown. We were in Providence and I hadn't learned the tracks yet. It was like 2 weeks into the run. And it was on for a track that I wasn't. So we have primaries technically, we cover all of them, But you have for the women, for the female identifying, there are like 4 that I mainly cover, and then 4 that Mika mainly covers. Now I can go on for any of them, but it's nice to know that like these 4 are set and these 4 are set for the most part. So our other swing, Nicole at the time, was already on. So I had to go on for one of her primaries, maybe 20 minutes into the show. It was just very fast. And I was like, guys, I have no clue what I'm doing. So everybody just like stick with me. I remember in Master of the House, our stage manager was like, I just looked up from the monitors. So the track that I was on for has to put a bunch of stuff underneath the table in Master of the House for the table to leave. I didn't know what she had to put under the table. So he said he just looked up and saw me completely facing upstage, just shoving everything that I could underneath the table. So I was like, I know that something has to get put here.
Go away. Yes.
I didn't know what did, but I knew that I didn't want to risk there being something left.
Yeah, totally.
And again, it's one of those moments where it's like shove with love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like shove with love on stage. Get these people on, get them through, because they're like I have known both of these folks since 2017. Yeah. So the fact that like they truly are like family, it makes it more fun.
Yeah, I know a lot of times the cast trusts us too. I know there are times when like you'll be on for somebody and you just did somebody else the night before, so I'll enter stage right for someone and I'm supposed to be on stage left, and I'll do the whole scene and I'll get off stage and be like, oh, sorry guys, I don't know why I entered stage right, and I've had people say, oh, it's okay, Ash, we figured you knew what you were doing. I'm like, okay, great. I'm glad you think so.
Kyle, what's your craziest moment?
I think my craziest moment that I can think of, obviously, like you said, we have primaries, certain tracks, and the track fouillis in our show is one that I very rarely go on for. The creatives tend to like a more youthful tenor in that role. I'm not the most youthful swing we've got here. And so it's something that I don't sing a ton, and it is the highest note any ensemble member for the male identifying sings is the will be there, right? It's this big moment on the barricade. And so on the previous tour, I did the track a total of 5 times, and 3 of the 5 were mid-show swing-ons. So 2 times I got to know going into the show that I was doing it, but the other 3 were intermission swing-ons. So basically, I'm at intermission, I'm on my computer, I don't think I'm doing the show, and then I'm told in about 7 minutes, I'll be singing We'll Be There on the barricade for 3,000 people. And that's the gig, you know? That's how it goes. Yeah.
I love it. Someone asked, do they pause the show when a swing gets ready to jump on stage?
No. Unless we absolutely have to. And that, I don't know if we've ever had to do that. I would think it would be more of if a principal went out mid-show and we couldn't get their understudy ready, and, you know, you can't do the Who Am I section if there's no Jean Valjean.
Correct.
So if we couldn't get someone ready by then we'd have to pause. But I don't know if I don't think we've ever had to pause.
And we've had it happen where, like, you know, that the ensemble member has to leave, and so they just won't be in the next scene. And everybody kind of fills in where they need to, or if a prop gets to move, be like, hey, you know, Kyle can't get on for this scene, so so-and-so needs to grab the basket. Okay.
There was one time where our Eponine went out, and this was when Nicole was still with the show, and they were getting her ready, but they could not get her fast enough on stage for the end of going into Heartful of Love. And so like she was singing as loud as she could backstage, but it just, and we just covered it. It was just covered it.
And but we didn't stop the show.
We didn't stop the show because they knew they were going to get her on. They just couldn't get her on for that one little section. And there we go. This was funny. I have to know, is there an assigned swing or understudy who's an emergency cover for Gavroche?
There isn't technically, but we do joke that if both Gavroches were sick, it wouldn't be me. It would probably be Ashley in a ponytail, right? Like that. We'd probably pick our smallest female identifying swing and put her hair up in a bun and send her out there,
just
right?
Pop my little face out.
Something's got to happen.
Let's see. Did they pause the show when Nick went out sick? No, they did not pause the show mid-show. So I had to call out mid-show, and I realized that my voice was just done. I did the confrontation, and I knew that I just could not do the rest of the show because I wouldn't do the show justice and I would probably injure myself. So I called out, I told them before I went out on stage that I was going to be out after this number. So they had time to pull Randy, who was the understudy for Valjean that night. They pulled him out of his ensemble track. And then I don't know who went in that night. They put Kyle in. Mm-hmm. And so it was just a boom, pull and go. And Randy, you know, like, was in here getting ready, and it was like, again, it's an all hands on deck. Like, I was helping him because my voice was gone. I still was feeling fine, but I just couldn't sing anymore. So I was like, remember your brand, remember this, remember that.
All departments just spring into action.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool and crazy, but cool.
Yeah, you just see Trish, our costume person, just sprinting down the hallway, carrying all of my costumes, you know, in her arms, that type of thing. It's crazy,
and they just do it really fast. So it's like it takes a village. It takes a village, and these two know so much that it's incredible to see them work. Let's see here. The joke on the West End is that they put an ensemble girl in for Gavroche. There you go. That's what they do.
That's what we do, I think.
Yeah. So what is one thing you wish people knew about being a swing? Did I ask this question already?
I'll say something. Yeah. I think that there is a misconception about being a swing that, like, we all inherently want to be on stage doing an ensemble track. And so I find myself explaining what I do to a lot of people on the road, a lot of strangers, that type of thing, and explaining that I'm a swing. And I get asked the question a lot of, like, well, would you want to be bumped up? Like, would you want to, like, as if people would view it as it would be like a promotion to be an ensemble. And while, listen, I have worked with swings who really did not enjoy it and really did wish that they wanted to be on stage every night. Like, I feel honored to be a swing and love being a swing. And, you know, there's a common misconception that, like, swinging is miserable and everybody hates it and we all wish that we were doing it every night. And I actually think, like, I love being a swing, and I seek those types of jobs out.
Yeah. Or sometimes you get people like, oh, that's so great, you get to be in the show tonight. And you're like, okay, well, I still am doing my job when I'm not in the show too. Yeah, like, totally. That's, you know, it definitely can come across as, like, a little bit like when we're not in the show, it's like, well, no, I still have to be ready because at any point I can go on. And that's also, you know, an exciting thing too. So we both really enjoy, I think, being swings. I also too, I've done the show now for so long and have been in the ensemble. I'm very grateful to be a swing because I feel like now 8 years in, I get to do something different every night. Where I don't think I would be able to do the show as long as I have if I weren't able to do that.
Right. Okay, so one last question before I have to go. How do you get past the anxiety of the uncertainty of every night?
I think it's just from practice. Yeah. You know, I was going to say, I didn't say my hardest thing about being a swing, but I would say it was definitely the beginning, right? When you start on a new show and you're learning all the tracks, it's really stressful and you have to work really hard. I think, like, the work ethic is something that makes a good swing because you really have to be putting so much time in outside of the theater to be prepared. But once you've done that work and you've done it long enough, you sort of lose that anxiety and you get comfortable.
And you have to let go of perfectionism.
Yes.
You really have to let it go because at the end of the day, they always say, did anybody get hurt? Did anything get messed up during the scenes? Did anybody die? And you're like, well, no. So I guess it's okay. And you can still, obviously, you want it to go better than just that. But you have to kind of let go of that. It might not be perfect. If you're doing a track that you haven't done in 6 months, and you only have 5 seconds to look at that track before going on, you might enter on the wrong side of the stage. And if you left the stage being like, gosh, dang it, I entered the wrong, it's okay. You entered the wrong side and everybody trusted you and everything was okay, then it's okay.
Yeah,
exactly. All right.
You got to go do the show.
I got to go do the show. But thank you both so much for talking and sharing your stories tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Live. Yeah. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week for another Thursday Night on Tour. Next week, I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
To be continued.
But I hope that we're going to start talking also to some other crew members. I really want to talk to our costume department, so make sure you start building up your questions for that. I want to talk to our sound department and our lighting department. I'm just going to share as much as I can with everybody out here because you know, so the next time you come to the theater and you see like our board, we have a big board out front with everybody's names on it, and you see if it says like swing or understudy next to it, like celebrate these folks because they truly are the hardest working people in the show every night. Yeah, until then, we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Bye,
See you next
everybody.
week.
Oh, now I gotta end it. Okay.